All right, everyone, welcome back. And we are very luckily joined this morning by one of the biggest jiu-jitsu stars for 2022 and certainly heading into 2023, Amy Campo. So, Amy, firstly, thank you very much for joining us today. We know you just got back from training. So how are you doing today and how's the training session?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah.
Training was great. It's always great. I love training.
Yeah, for sure. So, Amy, first question. You're a black belt under the esteemed Eduardo Mori, and you've spoken about before how you first met him, but can you speak to what makes Eduardo the perfect coach for you, both on a personal level and on a technical level?
Yeah. So let's do a technical level first. On a technical level, I think my coach is one. I think he's a really good teacher, and I think he has a lot of knowledge and experience base to pull from. Like he's trained in Brazil with Roberto Lage and under Carlson Gracie Jr. And he's also trained in Japan, like doing traditional judo and kyokushin. And he's just got a large knowledge base for fighting and for jiu-jitsu to pull from. And I think one thing that makes him a great coach too is he has really good intuition for what you need in a fight. And when I'm talking about fight, I'm talking about a jiu-jitsu competition, but I think even more so for an actual fight, he's got really good intuition for what you need. And I feel like he might even research my opponents more than I do. He likes to look at things, and that makes him a good teacher. A good teacher can always ask questions and look for answers, and I think he's a good teacher in that aspect.
100%.
Now on a,
are you right? You keep going. Yeah, keep going.
I was just going to talk about a personal level.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, for sure.
Do you want? Okay. So on a personal level, I think he's really invested in me. I think he cares a lot personally about my success. Like he's made it his personal business that I'm successful, that I'm a good fighter, that I carry out a legacy that represents him well, and just that I have what I need regardless. And I think that much attention to detail, because of your investment, your personal investment, you give that much more attention to detail and you care more and you try more, and maybe he puts up with more for me than he should, but I think he cares a lot.
Awesome. Amy, look, I just wanted to ask quickly, you started your martial arts journey early on in your life, at the age of 13. Once you got involved and started, working on the mats and striking, that sort of stuff, what ultimately made you fall in love with martial arts and led you to pursuing jiu-jitsu full time?
So I didn't have a lot of opportunities to be a part of things growing up. We just didn't have money to be able to do that. And when we came into a little bit of money, my dad gave me the opportunity to train. And it was the first thing I could really apply myself to. And in my after speech for ADCC, I said it was something that I could put my heart to, put my energy to, so that I wasn't wasting my time doing things that were unproductive. And what I meant by unproductive was that, things that are not bettering your life, just getting into trouble, doing whatever, wasting time. Like I want to be doing something that's advancing my life, that's teaching me skills that are helpful for me and useful for something I can, something I could teach to somebody else, to my family later. So I loved being able to grab jiu-jitsu and use it as a platform to teach me and to give me something and be more than I could be. And I think I have a natural love for athletic things, and I have a natural love for learning. And you put those two together and jiu-jitsu just bingo. So I just got to love growing.
Yeah, for sure. So, Amy, taking it back to ADCC, in the match with Gabi Garcia, you had a beautiful arm drag into your takedown entry. And the arm drag is a move that, I've seen you pull off quite quickly in a few of your matches, such as with Maria Raffato. With the arm drag, had you been tactically drilling that heading into the match with Gabi, given that, the likelihood that she was going to try and push forward and, for lack of a better word, use her size to be the bully in there? Or was that arm drag just sort of something you saw in the moment in the match?
So, yes, I was drilling it, but I'm always drilling it in training, because that is something that we do drill often, and that I have some friends who will show me like a new detail or a variation on it so I can like adjust it and make it better. So I'm always drilling it, but I hadn't like planned on going into the fight to use that. But I did know that on a conceptual level, going into the fight that Gabi was going to use size and weight forward. And so I was able to decipher quickly, like, okay, how to address people who are bigger than you forward. Well, you don't want to be on bottom and you move out of the way. You cut angles, right? And one of the best ways you can do that is to arm drag. That happens to be what was needed, and it happens to also be what I am, what I'm good at. So I was like, oh, great, get the best of both worlds here.
Yeah, 100%. Amy, recently we saw one of the best grapplers in the world, Gary Tonin, make the move over to MMA. And seeing as though you sort of dabbled in kickboxing and MMA, I read in your early years, is that ever something you consider down the line, or is mainly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for the foreseeable future, your only focus?
I think they're fun. Like, I love training them. They're fun. They're great cross training, great athleticism, so for kickboxing and MMA, cross training and how practical they are but I'd never planned on making them into a big career.
For sure. So, Amy, something I've seen you talk about is accepting that in training, you're going to lose some rounds sometimes, and that, you want your training and your training partners to be at that level where you are losing on the mat sometimes, forcing yourself to evolve. And, this is something that I think a lot of people, especially early on in their jiu-jitsu journey, sort of struggle with. Did you have any of those sort of moments in training where, you maybe get frustrated at losing some rounds, in the gym? And if so, how did you have to sort of shift your perception on how you view training and what training should be?
Yeah, it has happened to me a handful of times where I'll get stuck somewhere, or I've made a mistake, and I'll my perspective from egotistically thinking I cannot lose to anyone. I mean, that's a good thing to have that idea. Like, don't try not to lose. Do your best not to lose. But to think that, if you're in a Shark Tank and you're fighting, and they were faster somewhere, mistake, like, they taught you something valuable, and you shouldn't just be like, oh, how dare you, I shouldn't have lost you. Like, no, thank you, you showed me something that I hadn't showed myself, so you did me a favor by teaching me. And I think too, if you're taking risks to try new things and to develop something, it's not uncommon for you to make a mistake, or to not have been tight enough here, or you need more control here, and you figure that out through trial and error. But if you're never willing to risk being bad at something, you're never going to be good at something.
Yeah, 100%. Amy, you've proven yourself as the best in the world, and truly the top tier in terms of BJJ as a whole in the world. What are some of the goals you have over the next year that you'd really like to achieve?
So, of course, I'll be competing in some subversive tournaments, maybe some fight to win, who's number one and one championship. And, of course, some of the top IBJJF competitions, I'll jump in those. And I am going to be teaching more seminars and going on tour in between competition trainings. And I'm excited to see how much that opens up. I'm excited for that experience. I'm excited to share. And I'm really excited to learn about other people. I want to be a well-rounded person. I don't want to be an ignorant person. I want to be knowledgeable, and I want to be able to be considerate of other people. And I want to be able to share what I've learned and learn more. So that whole experience sounds really attractive to me.
Yeah, for sure. So, Amy, look, last question from us, and we really appreciate you giving us some time today. So, when we look at the last ADCC, in my memory, it was definitely the biggest in the event's history when you consider the amount of eyeballs that were on the product, the tickets sold, and the matchups. And for me as a jiu-jitsu fan, it's really exciting to see that, there's finally more than 3 people in the world watching the sport. In your mind, what do you think is needed to take jiu-jitsu to that next level in terms of popularity, heading into 2023 and 2024?
bring jiu-jitsu to the next level. Well, I'll start with what I think initially is I think Mo did a great job. Mo and Seth did a great job bringing jiu-jitsu to like a public sphere where it can be seen as like a bigger event. And there's, there's the lights, there's the camera, there's the action, there's the drums, there's the spectacle. He made it into a bigger event, a show. And I think a lot of people who may not understand jiu-jitsu, that is attractive and that's entertaining to have a show. And then maybe we can have a little bit of pull from people who aren't as into jiu-jitsu or who are newer. They can kind of watch the show play out. They get to see the characters. You have your villains and you have your heroes, and they can see these stories play out with the drama. And all of that is like your basic fight propaganda. And I think Mo did a good job of portraying a lot of those qualities that make it attractive. Now, as far as jiu-jitsu on another level, I think the fighters will take jiu-jitsu to another level. And whatever organization gets behind producing different kinds of tournaments and incentive, I think people are going to be like, all right, let's jump on this boat. We are going to make something different. And that's the logical thing that's going to happen with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is going to evolve, and people are going to use their ability to create different things out of jiu-jitsu. I don't think that the fundamental principles of jiu-jitsu should be lost in doing so. Like, the return to self-defense, return to how to protect yourself. I don't think that should be lost at all. I think it just needs to be communicated which kind of jiu-jitsu you're looking for and which kind you're training. And that distinction is important to make and to be communicated.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, Amy, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Look, wishing you all the best for, the upcoming holidays and the rest of the year. And we'd love to talk to you again in future next year.
Thank you very much. I'd look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy.